Good afternoon, good morning, depending where you're located. I'm Dario from Next Pharma Summit, and a great pleasure to welcome you all to another webinar, which we co-create with our great partners, Shower Thinking, with an amazing title, Salesforce CDP for Health and Pharma Companies. And today we have three extraordinary speakers from our fellow company, Shower Thinking, which is first of all, Joaquin Pace, who is the CEO. Hi, Joaquin, how are you?
Hi, I'm Dario. Thank you very much for having us.
Likewise, Saman Sadar as well from Shower Thinking. Saman, same question. All fine?
Thank you so much. Hi, everybody. Thank you, Dario. Everything is great.
And a new addition, really pleased to welcome Sarah Wentz. Hi, Sarah. Same question for you. How's it going?
Hi, thanks, Dario. So yeah, everything's going great. Thanks to everyone for joining.
Thank you, and let's deep dive into today's conversation. Our colleague Saman prepared some very interesting slides, so Saman, please, the stage is yours.
Well, thank you, Dario. I want to welcome everybody again around the world for joining our webinar series and Pharma. We've got an exciting topic today about the customer data platform and its differentiation between the traditional CRM and what that means. I think you may hear this in pharma quite often these days, the CDPs and what it means and what implications it has related to the digital cloud-based marketing for you. So before that, a quick kind of review of the agenda today. We had the participant introduction today. We are going to talk about customer data platform, where Joaquin will walk you through those. And then we'll have particularly the Salesforce CDP for pharma companies and a few things related to the pharma applications. And at the end, we are going to have a Q&A. Through the panel, please forward your questions. I'll be moderating the call today, and at the end I'll pose the questions to our speakers today on that front. So and again, a quick intro again. We talked about right now the speakers. Joaquin will be presenting. I'll be moderating, and then I'll jump in as needed. And Sarah Wants, our director of marketing, has joined as well. Thank you, Sarah, for joining, and she'll be participating as needed on that. So just very quick background about Shower Thinking for those of you that are new to our pharma webinars and pharma series. Shower Thinking is a technology and marketing firm. We are specializing in providing tailored solutions for Salesforce and Viva platforms catered for pharma, particularly amongst other clients in the world. We are amongst the rare companies in the world that they can navigate through the architecture all the way to the technical implementation. We've been awarded as a 10 top Salesforce solution providers in 2020, as well as you'll hear about the recent award in 2021 as well in Europe. And needless to say that we are launching more than 50 campaigns around the world and more than 20 countries every month on that. And we have very decorated team members with many Salesforce certificates as well as Viva certificates, in various parts of the marketing cloud applications. On that, with this quick background, a disclaimer as well that we'll be using trademarks and logos in our presentations, and also making references to common platforms used particularly in pharma. Everything will belong to their respective owners. With that in mind, I'm just gonna pass it to Joaquin, and we'll get the presentations started.
Thanks, Saman, and thank you everyone for attending this webinar. So let's get into the topic of this webinar, and let's review together what a customer data platform really is and why it's important to us in health and pharma. Okay, now, Customers worldwide are demanding higher levels of personalization and trust with every brand. Customer connections are increasingly based on personalization and trust. 73% of customers expect brands to understand their requirements and respond to them in a tailored fashion, according to various research. Negative experiences, on the other hand, have caused 65% of customers to cease engaging with the brand, and that's a lot. Today's marketing teams face several digital hurdles. The most significant of them is the unification of client data. We are accumulating an increasing amount of data to the point that data has become a major burden for many marketing departments. We are tired of hearing terminology like data silos, but few businesses can consistently create a single consumer view. Many companies are adding to their Salesforce marketing platform additional channels like webinars or e-commerce platforms. But very often the problem increases without the appropriate tools. The term CDP or Customer Data Platform is not new, but it is the new trend of 2021. The CDP is nothing more than an evolution of CRM adapted to the new digital needs. The addition of new pieces to the marketer's toolbox, including automation, personalization, and the ever-increasing multi-channel and real-time capabilities, has created a demand for a new entity to encompass all these elements. That's why Customer Data Platform has become the new buzzword in Salesforce ecosystem. If we have to describe the advantage of CDP, we could do it in two ways: system of data organization and system of engagement. This final aspect is critical because, as we shall see further down in the explanation of what CDP is, it will appear to many of you to be very similar to the concept of data lake. CDP is built on the data lake concept, but it's much more than a data store. CDP is an operational tool for marketing teams, while still maintaining storage and analytical capabilities for IT departments. But what Salesforce CDP really is? An enterprise-wide customer data platform solution enables marketers to capture, unify, segment, and activate all their customer data. It provides marketers a single source of truth for their customers and makes that data available for creating personalized experiences across every touchpoint. As we will see in the next slides, is able to manage consents from our customers. One of the main benefits of Salesforce CDP is its ability to be used by non-technical marketing departments for advanced segmentation and activation of campaigns. And now I pass the control to my colleague Sarah to review the applications in health and pharma.
Now let's take a look at how the Salesforce CDP can be a useful tool for pharma companies. First, let's review the challenges that marketing teams in pharma companies are facing. Health and pharma companies are involved in a complex process of change with regards to their relationship with HCPs and patients. Undoubtedly, this change has been accelerated during the COVID period. This new relationship model generates great challenges in data management and As we mentioned at the beginning of this presentation, customers demand much more advanced interaction models based on personalization and trust. As marketers nowadays, we live in an ocean of varying customer data from different platforms. In order to provide seamless customer segmentation and unified data in the form of a unique customer profile, many existing platforms require complex integrations. The Salesforce CDP is purposely built to solve this new and urgent need of marketing departments without these additional complex integrations. What you see here is an example of how the Salesforce CDP fits into a typical digital architecture for a pharmaceutical company. As you can see, data arrives from various sources. Then it is processed, organized, and unified using the cloud information model. And from there, a unified HCP profile is created to be used for advanced segmentation. This empowers digital marketing teams to generate advanced audiences with only a few clicks. And not only that, the Salesforce CDP continues to maintain the ability to function as a standard data lake, being able to natively connect a BI tool like Tableau to extract, process, and visually represent data. A common complaint of marketing teams at pharma companies, and let's be honest, in general, is that there is no global vision of their customers that includes all types of data in order to perform correct segmentations for marketing campaigns. The Salesforce CDP allows us to develop a unique marketing profile for each HCP, with all identification and engagement data necessary for targeting and segmentation. The CDP interface is clear, concise, and user-friendly, as it provides engagement history, calculated insights, and change history in an easy-to-understand format. In line with what we've just discussed, the CDP provides a user-friendly way to perform complex segmentations that otherwise would require excess coding in other platforms. As you can see here, marketing teams can perform these complex segmentations by simply clicking, dragging, and dropping to create the filters they need to target these audiences with content relevant to them. Based on what we've discussed about the CDP so far, it is easy to get it confused with the functionalities of other Salesforce tools, like Salesforce Marketing Cloud or Interaction Studio. It is even similar to many data lake outcomes. In the following slide, we will try to explain the difference between these solutions. Each platform has a business purpose and an end user, as you can see here. Typically, a data lake's purpose is business data unification and business analytics, and its end users are technical profiles, like data analysts. On the other hand, Interaction Studio's purpose is to perform real-time website personalization and real-time segmentations, and its end users are typically non-technical profiles, like marketers. Finally, Salesforce Marketing Cloud's purpose is to configure and launch automated email campaigns and customer journeys. And its end users are typically Salesforce Marketing Cloud specialists, consultants, and developers, all of which are technical profiles. While some of these purposes and end users coincide with those of the Salesforce CDP, none of them provide all of the same functionalities for a non-technical end user. Here, you can see an example of a typical operating model for customer journeys and campaigns, which incorporates the use of the Salesforce CDP. First, the marketing team performs the segmentation in the Salesforce CDP, which is then followed by the technical campaign configuration and ends with an analysis of the unified HCP profile, including the campaign interaction data corresponding to this campaign. And finally, we would like to close by discussing how the CDP can improve the management of consents among these multiple digital platforms. The first thing to note is that the CDP unifies all consents from all platforms in the customer's unique profile. This organization of data allows us to ensure that we always have the correct consent when performing audience segmentations, as this is a vital piece of the puzzle that is always required when targeting HCPs with marketing communications. In the diagram here, you can see one of many examples of how to use the Salesforce CDP to help manage communications with sales reps around HCP opt-outs. That's all for our session today. We would now like to open the floor to any questions and comments that you may have. I'll pass it back over to my colleagues, Joaquin and Saman. Until next time.
Thank you so much, Sarah. Really appreciate it. Very, very interesting presentation. So yes, do please send the questions. I see already there are some questions queuing up. So I'll start with that, and that's actually I'm going to combine a few of these questions. One of them is, I guess, the very valid question. It's about the ambiguity between, again, the CDP and CRM. So one question is CDP is a layer that sits on top of the existing CRMs, or it is meant to actually replace the CRM? Joaquin, maybe you can start talking about this.
Sure. Yes, very interesting question. And this is one of the elements that I think that Salesforce itself, themselves, they are trying to explain a little bit more to the customer. So for us, CDP really is one layer that is needed in order to orchestrate all the different channels. You need to consider that the focus that we have in pharma with the CRM data, obviously there is a lot of very valuable data, is like shifting over the time as we include more digital channels. You can understand that from the focus that we have on traditionally on reps or CRM in general, Viva, Health Cloud, or the other kind of CRM data, with as you include more digital channels, you can imagine like webinars, advertising campaigns, email campaigns, or whatever is the marketing strategy that you have in your company. This shift is moving to include more digital channels. So here the CDP is like a medium or long-term solution for this need in order to have a complete view, you know, because the traditional CRMs cannot encompass or cannot include all this, or it's difficult to or challenging to include all these different interactions. So as we see as we explained in the presentation, for us, the CDP is an evolution for the 16 CRM, and we are really excited because this is an element for the marketing cloud ecosystem in order to evolve and provide a better solution for pharma companies.
Thank you so much. And there's another related question here. Is this so? It looks like CDP is a CRM with added features and simplified features for segmentation. So for near-term implementation, do we connect Viva data into CDP?
I don't know if you want to comment, Sarah, or I just do it myself.
You can go ahead, and if I think that anything needs to be added, then I'll jump in. Thanks.
Okay, you compliment me then. Yes, so during this presentation, we made some simplification of what the Salesforce CDP is. The response to this question is that really on the back for Salesforce CDP, they have decided to create or to follow the CIM, which is a cloud information system data model, which is a standard that companies like Salesforce, like Amazon, like Google are creating in order to standardize all these different data models that they have in these companies. So the response is yes. We are pulling this data from the CRM and introducing in this CDP, in the CDP platform, using this standardized cloud information data model.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Joaquin. So there are actually a few related questions. I'm trying to sort them and pose it to you in terms of their kind of order that makes sense. Related to this now, a little bit more into the implementation space of this. Do you expect, so there's a question about the existing segmentations. The question is, do you have to port all your existing segmentations into CDP, or you can put them in parallel with the existing ones, or add new ones in addition to the existing segmentations?
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. Well, I will need to understand a little bit more about this specific case. Anyway, the whole purpose of Salesforce CDP is to make this segmentation more easy and to be implemented by non-technical teams. If we review any advanced segmentation that you can make in Marketing Cloud, you can imagine segment some patients depending on their digital behavior, but also from same data coming from your existing CRM. They used to be complex, or at least not complex to understand, but at least you will need some kind of development team in order to implement this segmentation, and probably you will need some good knowledge for language like SQL or any other advanced technical functionalities. The whole idea behind Salesforce CDP is that once you have this data available, you can make this implementation with a point and click tools. So basically with a user interface. So the response to your question is, once you have the CDP implemented, you can replicate, not just, it's not to migrate the segmentation, but to make a replica, also an exact copy from what you have in your existing systems, and probably with an easy way to operate those segmentations.
Thank you. There's another interesting question about the slide that Sarah covered about CDP and its interaction with Data Lake and the Interaction Studio and other components of Salesforce Marketing Cloud, that it looked like that there's an overlap on that one. So the question is this, I'm just going to read that. How do you see the segmentation capabilities from CDP compare itself with the profiling capabilities of the Interaction Studio? Isn't it overlapping, or do you have to do the work twice? I guess the question is can some of those features can be overlapped and replaced within CDP, or no, you actually have the same thing twice? And also, how do these kind of capabilities compare?
Sure, Sarah, you can go on, jump in.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, we decided to cover that slide because we know that this is an important issue. You never want to be kind of replicating work when you have different systems working together, which is why we decided to cover this slide. And what we did want to point out is while some functionalities are in a sense repeated among the various platforms or applications. What the CDP actually does in connecting all of the different systems and creating that unique profile of the HCP in order for non-technical marketing teams to perform these advanced segmentations is really unique. Joaquin, I'm actually going to pass it to you to help me answer the part of the question that has to do with whether Interaction Studio segmentations, if that can be reused within the CDP. So if you could help me on that one.
Sure, Sarah. CDP is a more general tool than what Interaction Studio is. In one of the slides, we present which are the business purpose and which are the teams that usually will operate those platforms. So you can expect that with really the end user for Salesforce CDP is a marketing team themselves that can with very easy tools implement those segmentation. For me, this is the main difference, and also that somehow Interaction Studio is more focused on web interactions or interaction digital, while Salesforce CDP is focused on more any kind of segmentation that you can expect with different products or different call plans. We can imagine in a pharma or health company, or for patients, depending on their interaction or activities that you can have with your pharma products.
Thanks, Joaquin.
Thank you both. And no, that was indeed an interesting question. And another question is this. So we talked about CDP trying to simplify segmentation, adding these kind of layers of simplification to the process with a drag and drop, etc. There's this question about actually implementation of the CDP. We understand that's going to simplify down the road the processes, but at a ballpark or high level, how do you assess the implementation of the CDP from complexity perspective or time consumption perspective? And also, how does it work with the local and global teams or headquarter teams?
Well, this is an interesting question, and somehow a little bit complex. Probably the second part is more complex because health and pharma companies, they have different structures or way to operate from the headquarters level to the country or affiliates level, whatever they call it. So sometimes these segmentation are very important and they are made at the local level, while other companies, they decide to make some general segmentation and make it available for. So this is something that we will need to discuss more in depth. Sorry, Simon, and the first part of your question is?
The first part of the question was obviously, I think just to recap your answer is that really implementation, and it depends on the complexity of what pharma companies want to do. But overall, I think there's a bit of the question is about the cost benefit analysis of this or the ROI of this, that, okay, we are getting some simplification on the segmentation, but how much do we have to invest in implementing the CDP layer on that? Is it at a very ballpark, the question is it trivial? Is it going to be a large investment on that? What is your take on this?
Okay, always the cost is the most tricky part. You will expect that the good news is that Salesforce CDP is a tool which is prepared to integrate with many different platforms. And if you are working in a Salesforce ecosystem, these are really great news, because the integration with Sales Cloud, Viva, Health Cloud, and the Marketing Cloud, obviously, or Interaction Studio are really available for you. But generally speaking, the more integration, obviously, that you need to implement, if there are some custom integration like external systems, like if you need an external data lake, or if you are using Amazon or Azure in order to maintain, or even SAP, SAP, this kind of system. Although Salesforce CDP is ready or is prepared for this kind of data getting our activities, obviously this kind of project will be more complex. So this is why we see that really a Salesforce CDP is for customer who really, that more than a focus on the cost, and we see that the decision for the customer to take this kind of platforms is when they need to have a better customer view. In the presentation, in the part from Sarah, when she presented the insights for the customer, or have this customer view for all the different digital and non-digital interaction that they have. This is really for us what we see in the so far in the customers. The main decision is to have this clear, this 360 customer view.
Very, very good. Thank you. Now, moving to the obviously the ongoing, always critical topic in pharma, which is the consent management. And it looked like that, CDP has good features about consolidating the consent. There's a question on this. I'm going to read it to you. It's does CDP allow for keeping consents in sync with point and click behavior, for example, between Salesforce Marketing Cloud and Viva?
Really, it just as I commented in the first question from someone, is that you can see that there is a shift for the importance for having this data in Viva, and also versus all these different digital systems. And the consent is a very good example because the consent that you have from your customers are not only in the CRM. Probably if you can imagine that one customer has opt out for this CRM consent that you have in your CRM, but he wants still to get this webinar information or access that you are providing for your customers. So this is some kind of always of problem or issues or overlap about the digital channels consent and this traditional CRM consent that you have probably with your reps or your sales team. So we see that obviously there are a lot of consent management platforms different in the market, but we see that or our experience with in the project that we have with customers is that Salesforce CDP is a very good place in order to solve all this visibility that you need to have around consents that in health and pharma are so key and important, more important than any other industry. So to have consolidated all this information, for us the CDP is a good, I would say, an optimal place to be.
Thank you, Joaquin. And a follow-up question is that can the CDP consent management coexist with another consent management tool?
Yes, of course. And usually you cannot migrate the existing, for example, in the case of Viva or the Health Cloud, in the case that you are dealing with patients or if they are healthcare professionals, need to coexist and be integrated between both systems.
Okay, very good. Now back into the implementation. There's a question about the profiling dimensions. And it's about, I'm going to read the question. How many profiling dimensions can you include and how to manage cross-brand segmentations?
The question about the cross brands is very interesting. So at the end, with this CIM model, this standardization for the modeling, you can also create some specific or some ad hoc consent that covers different products. This is usually when you have a patient or you have a healthcare professional, and your approach in terms of products to those healthcare professionals are different. CDP uses the standard CIM model, but you can still create a custom view, or a custom application, custom model following your operation that you have in different markets.
Very good. And a follow-up question to this is, excuse me, that can you send dynamically the CDP created segments of a customer back to Viva?
You can. I will need to understand a little bit more, but the question is that usually the activation for all these segments, more than Viva, used to be Marketing Cloud. So although probably I will need to speak with this person and understand a little bit more, which is the business case or the use case he is thinking. Usually you can expect that a platform like Marketing Cloud is directly integrated with Salesforce CDP, and through Marketing Cloud you can operate whatever multi-channel activity. You can remember that through a journey. For example, in Marketing Cloud, you can activate digital activities, but also Viva activities, and create a real complex multi-channel journey. So my initial response is that usually we should be thinking about more than sending back directly to Viva. Usually you activate your journey or whatever is the purpose for this activity through Marketing Cloud. But we'll need obviously to understand a little bit more about this use case.
That's very good, thank you. And then I'll leave it to our attendee to follow up, or we can follow up offline with them on this topic. Another question here related to the kind of the data source and the question is that if the Salesforce CDP requires to load and copy all the data that might be in the company's data lake into Salesforce data platform, or can it source data from an external source? And if so, then via integration services such as MuleSoft. That's the kind of related to how the data gets to CDP.
Yes, well, this will be a very interesting use case, or you probably know that the MuleSoft is a platform also was acquired 2 years ago from Salesforce, and makes this whole data integration or data layer solution for different data uploading and downloading. Here Salesforce CDP will work together with MuleSoft in order to get all these external data sources. Also, you can consider that Salesforce CDP themselves, they also have some more basic solution, obviously, than MuleSoft. Probably you have some complex API integration that you should be thinking about using MuleSoft together with Salesforce CDP, but still Salesforce CDP have some interesting integration with all the Salesforce product, also with Amazon, and it's expected that during the next months this kind of integration from Salesforce CDP will expand. So you can expect that as Salesforce always do through these 3 times a year releases, you can expect that they will launch new integration with different platforms.
Very good, thank you. There's another question related to Einstein here. The question reads as, on the screenshot that was shared, it seemed that the CDP interacts or integrates Einstein as well. Can it provide next best actions and other recommendations as well, or not?
For sure, it can. and this is interesting. I will. So the response is yes, it can provide this information. I would like also to, because we have many requests from customers about this integration for artificial intelligence or Einstein capabilities in their existing projects and in pharma. Usually in pharma, the problem that, and this is some particular view that I have, in order to get a benefit for all the information, usually in pharma, we are not working with high volumes of data like other customers that we have. That could be companies like Starbucks or Michelin, or you can expect other retail customers where the volumes or data are huge. So we are usually working with very specific segments. So our particular approach, and here I'm not thinking of, it's not, it's just for pharma, health and pharma companies working with in this HCP environment of customers. You probably will be thinking about creating some specific solutions that can really extract all the benefit for the data that you have, because, and the reason behind is because the volume of data that we are speaking here in this segment is not huge. Many times we are speaking about 2,000, 40,000, 100,000 maximum campaigns, but we are usually not speaking about millions of users. That is where this kind of tools provide more benefit. Okay.
Thank you so much, Joaquin and Sarah, for a great discussion. We have hit the 40-minute mark and a couple of minutes passed over it. We have still a few questions to answer, but we'll try to reach out to our audience offline with their questions. And I would like to again thank our great audience that joined. We had a large number today, so it looks like this was an interesting topic, and we'll try to follow up more with interesting information and webinars in the future. And thank you, Dario, for joining as well. Well, with that, I'll just say farewell, and looking forward to another webinar in near future.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm very happy to follow your very interesting questions through emails, or you are fine to, if you want to send by email, we are happy to respond to them. Thank you very much.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.